like seals and sea lions. They can also take larger fish such as tuna. They'll eat other skates, rays, and small species of sharks. And if they get the chance, they will attack dolphins on occasions when they're quite bigger. And if a whale dies, they will feed on the blubber from the whale. It's a very, very rich food source. Lots of energy for a great white shark. So if they come upon a whale carcass, they will feed and feed and feed until they can't fit any more in their stomach. It's a great meal for a great white shark. And they are partially warm-blooded, which is something not many people know too much about. It's not your typical fish. Their body temperature is about 5 to 6 degrees Celsius warmer than the surrounding water, which means that they can be more efficient in the way that they move, and they can go into colder waters than you would normally expect from a shark. And they are globally threatened and protected species. Now, shark attacks in the media, as I was saying, things like Jaws portray sharks as the evil killing machines. And if there is an attack, the press is the first to get a hold of it. But the truth about the shark attacks is much less threatening than what the media would have you believe. There are 5 to 15 fatalities from shark bites across the globe each year. That's involving all species of shark, not just the great white shark. And when you consider the amount of people using the water across the globe, that's a really low number. Especially when you consider things like toasters and coconuts are killing hundreds of people each year. So by statistics value alone, they are far more dangerous than sharks. There's about 1 to 3 attacks, fatal attacks by sharks in South Africa each year, which is also a low number when you consider the amount of people using the water. If the sharks were hunting humans, there'd be attacks almost every single day throughout the summertime. But the fact is, attacks and interactions are extremely rare. And if you look at shark attack records, you can see things like visibility. Low visibility often plays a role in where shark attacks have taken place. Sharks are visual predators, and if they can't see you very well in the water, they're not going to know exactly what you are. Usually a shark will bite and then release and move away. It's not trying to feed on human beings. And of course, they often result in media storms, which in turn can result in the culling of sharks because people are afraid of them. And when you look at the pictures and hear the stories, you might rightly be afraid of them. Like so. That's not a real picture, by the way. Okay, so the impacts of humanity on sharks. Why is it such a problem that people portray sharks in this image? Well, because it means that people aren't really protecting them. And sharks across the globe are getting fished and wiped out. Each year, we're looking at about 70 to 100 million sharks being slaughtered by humans each year. That's a huge number. It's completely unsustainable. It's mainly due to the demands for shark fin soup. Now, if we look a bit at what shark fin soup does, it's very big in the Far East. But because it's so big there, and they'll pay very good money for it, sharks across the world are fished to feed the demand for it. Now, what they'll do is they'll fish the shark. They'll bring it aboard the boat, and then they'll cut off its fins. So the dorsal fin, the pectoral fins, and the tail fins, the caudal fins. Sometimes the other fins as well, depending on the size and the species of the shark. The rest of the shark's meat isn't considered worth valuable enough to keep, so it's discarded back into the water. Quite often the shark is still alive. It will sink to the bottom and drown as a result of its injuries. So it's a pretty brutal end to the shark's life, but it's only utilizing 3% of the shark's body mass, which is a complete waste. And then it means there's more room on the boat, so they can fish and kill more sharks. So it is a real problem, but there's such a demand for it that this is continuing to happen every single day. Another problem is the longlining industry. Now, in the longlining industry, the target species will be things like tunas and swordfish, but they will catch indiscriminately. The way they fish are long, long lines with baited hooks. Now, they'll catch anything that takes a fancy to that bait, not just the tunas and swordfish that they want to catch. They'll catch sharks in very large numbers. They'll also catch seabirds, they'll catch sea turtles, Sometimes even dolphins get hooked on those lines and drown. So it's also a bit of a problem. But there's also a third problem that we have here in South Africa, and that's the shark board's nets. They're in the KwaZulu-Natal, to the eastern side of our country, and they are also a real problem. Again, the problem is that people are afraid of sharks, so they've put in shark nets to effectively protect them and make them more at ease to swim in the water. But these shark nets, they don't form a barrier between humans and sharks. They're set perpendicular to the coastline, and they cull as many sharks as possible. Each year we lose between 20 and 30 great white sharks in those nets, but more than that, we lose plenty of dolphin. Even whales sometimes have got caught and drowned in those nets. Many harmless species of sharks, and also turtles as well. So it is a real problem, and it is really depleting our marine ecosystem in that part of South Africa.